what you just said.
Welcome back to the show.
Take care, Polly Wally.
Never heard anyone in my life who's more insane than Polly.
Stop him! Stop him! Stop him!
Little hoop action.
Hell yes!
Hi, Mr. Allen. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How you doing, Pierre? How you doing, Pierre? What's going on? How you doing?
Man, Pierre is silly, man.
How you doing?
9 to noon.
What in the ham fat is going on with you guys? 9 to noon.
Big boy's back! Just listen. '59th time's the charm.
Good morning. This is 9 to noon. Yesterday in the NFC North, the Motor City Kitties continued to purr.
Punts away. KFAN Raymond back deep. Had a 64-yard punt return in the first half. Takes it at the 10. Makes the first man miss. Second man miss. Gets to the 20, 25-yard line. There's the 30. 35 cuts left at the 40. There goes Leaf left sideline to the 40, to the 30. He's gone, baby. He's gone. 10-5. End zone. Touchdown, KFAN Raymond. What a thing of beauty.
Dan Miller, Lions Radio.
Down Jacksonville way, despite some humidity-related sweat and the speedy Liberty kid having to play important minutes, the chief rival found the moolah.
This will be a 24-yard field goal attempt. Pretty much straight on. Ball will be placed down between the hash marks. Wheeling down on one knee, arm extended. Here's the snap. Placement made. The kick is up. And it is good!
Yep.
For the second week in a row, Brandon McManus delivers the dagger. And the Packers have defeated the Jaguars 30-27.
Packers Radio.
And adjacent to the nation's capital, things became wobbly.
Bears at 8 deep. 4 at the goal line. They bring 3. Daniels backing up. He's just going to have to let one fly. Goes to the right side. Steps away from the defenders. Gives himself some time. Now steps up, fires. Heads towards the end zone. It is...
Yeah, it's still going.
Oh, yeah! Whoa! You talk about a ball goal! Just like his grand slam in the ninth inning of the World Series! Yes, go, baby! The ball popped up in the air! Right into the arms of Noah Brown! Jaden Daniels extended the play over and over and over! Walk-off touchdown!
Commanders Radio.
Any idea what Tyreek Stevenson was doing on that play? And good morning.
Good morning. I have no idea. How bad does that look, by the way? That fan video from the stands.
Yep.
He was
talking trash.
People, yeah, waving people down like it's over. It's over. Bears win. Fade to black moment for Jeff Joniak until
Fade to black.
I think Tyreek Stevenson is the guy that ultimately ran into the play, deflected the ball into the air that landed in the hands of Noah Brown. That's going to be an awful Monday morning for him and the Bears defensive staff.
Football feast.
Good morning. The Minnesota Vikings are 5-2. Our squad was in first place atop the NFC North 8 days ago and ended up being a Maryland miracle from being tied for last place. I mean, I spent about 15 seconds, maybe 35 seconds last night, like looking at the NFC North standings just to determine if the Maryland miracle hadn't have taken place, what our lot in life would have been. We wouldn't have been in last place. It's a It's a conference record thing. Isn't that special?
It is.
I always love that one.
I mean, it's just mind-boggling after 5 in a row, 4 KO. 5 in a row, 4 KO. 5 in a row, 4 B flow. 5 in a row, 4 B flow. And 5 in a row, 4 Serpo. 5 in a row, 4 Serpo. There are facets yours truly expects to flip with a drop-in class coming up here this weekend. And we have plenty of time to talk about it on the 9 to noon presentation. Still, the worm is turned. The belly of the beast is where our favorite team resides. But residing in the belly of the beast doesn't mean we have to apply for in-state tuition or like calling home. A winning streak very well could be on the horizon. And speaking of winning streaks, PJ Fleck, coach of the Golden Gophers football team, joins around 10:47 and is preceded by true freshman safety Coy Parrish, who's coming in studio. Very sweet. How'd you close on that one? The con.
Yeah, his people reached out to me. I've been trying to set it up for a few weeks, and it was bye-week terrorism and workout schedules and all that. He's busy trying to lead the nation in picks right now, so I guess this wasn't exactly top thing on the priority list, but just working, sending texts and communicating and getting it set up, because riding this vibe, as you mentioned, win streaks. PJ's team dropping 50 on the Terps over the weekend. I thought we should do something special this morning.
The streaming aspect of it, please explain.
Yeah, I believe via KFAN.com, the same way that the final hour of the Power Trip would be available via social media and such, YouTube, etc.
Sweet.
You're going to have the opportunity, I believe, to see Coy and to see the conversation around 10:20 today.
Yep, that's Coy Parrish, true freshman safety for the Golden Gophers, in studio 9 to noon. Meanwhile, can we just for a second, since this is my first time back on the radio since joining Nordo Thursday from the Marina Del Rey Hotel before the Ramsell, can we just pay homage to the mist face mask for a second?
Yeah.
Just deep breath. Let's just pay homage to it. It's not complain about it X amount of days later. I want to pay homage to the mist face mask. And I'm sure I'm not the first in the history of 9 to noon radio, KFAN, or anybody else to go down this road. But I want to pay homage. All right, 3-2. I want to pay homage, too, for one of those nice covered wagons. Okay, 3-2. Let's pay homage to that missed call at the end of the game. Down 8, even if it's called, I had the Minnesota Vikings as a 10%er max to get down there and get the 2, having seen the totality of the game. But can we just pay homage to one of the quirkiest, strangest, most mind-boggling missed calls we can remember? Thanks to pictures found all over social media, referee Trey Blake and another official were looking straight at the missed infraction. Then after the game, Trey said, paraphrasing, quote, "None of us saw it," end quote. Darnold's head was staring straight up at the SoCal Stars due to the face mask twist before he went down. Observed by an official and a ref, only to have the overmatched ref after the game quoted as saying, paraphrasing, "None of us had a good angle on it."
I always love that one.
The perp, Byron Young, who was permitted to skip trial or even the officials huddling, immediately cupped his helmet ear holes with both hands, his face that of chagrin, knowing he nearly just ripped a man's helmet off, and now the game is extended.
I always love that one.
When he heard the good news, rumor has it, he was like, really? For real? The whole thing, quirky, utterly ridiculous, and the chain of events are just fantastic. If you covet the macabre.
I always love that one.
We lay that thing out okay?
I think you did. I think
when my man cupped his ears.
Yeah, he knew the flag was coming.
I mean, the whole chain of events, including the referee's lie after the game. I mean, we've seen a lot.
Can I give you my conspiracy theory?
We've seen a lot over the course of time, Ken, so we've ever seen that one. Please do.
Trey Blake intentionally didn't call it because he remembers from 2 years ago, somebody said this.
I really hope somebody from the NFL offices is listening to us now on Sirius XM Radio. Trey Blake and this staff are awful. And the mistakes they've made today are egregious. And if there's room in the USFL, the XFL, or the Arena League, please send them there post-haste.
There we go, Paul! And so he heard that.
Tell me I'm wrong.
And 2 years later, he has held that in his back pocket right next to that flag. And that is why he didn't pull said flag in that moment. Whether in the moment you were correct 2 years ago or in soothsayer-like fashion, it was almost in your soul. You felt that at some point, Trey Blake, that we would get Trey Blaked again at some point in the future.
We did.
You absolutely nailed it. That was 20 seconds of perfection on audio.
Yeah, last Thursday was such a it was quite the surreal evening for yours truly, and good morning. Here's why. SoFi with its open air appeal felt almost SoCal crisp. Southern California akin to heat and year round sun and stuff like that, but it felt almost crisp. Unlike the Sweat Fest December of 21 when they played the Chargers out there, my first journey to SoFi, and it's unseasonably hot for that time of the year, and a guy tells me that the stadium does not have air conditioning and doesn't really need it. We just caught a rough patch.
I always love that one.
Cool. The evening and stadium were beautiful on Thursday. The game was frustrating, and it was just a night. It felt like our little 9 to noon sports covenant was living its best life without me. And I know this is a Monday from back to a Thursday, but it still eats at it eats at the bottom of my heart. It was an evening where the thing came crashing down Thursday night and it was diseased.
Yeah.
And then I felt like our covenant was living its best life without me, man. That night, the Howl, spine tingler at Sacramento, seemed super exciting. Julius Randle's out there dominating, and they win the game. I mean, life was living in jazzy fashion without me, while I was on a bus trying to be athletic and bend over and pick up my pen, missing all that howling and all that was fun.
I always love that one.
Of course, the Wild beat somebody that night, and that covenant's all smiles, and Gorg has a pep in his step, and the new Vox in the Box at Tria seems eons away, and I'm smashing my 6 Uncrustable, wondering just why did Jalen Naylor drop that pass? Big play. Game of inches, though. So that's that. No, I mean, it was such a surreal evening because it was so beautiful in the Southland and the stadium was phenomenal. And there were so many Vikings fans there. And then Trey Blake just is diseased and the whole thing became diseased. And when we took an L for a second consecutive game. So that's that. No face changes required into this week for yours truly. Just a surreal evening where the heart got left in the Southland while life was living its best sports life without me back in Minnesota's Rube Nation.
I just don't. It's frustrating sometimes when and we've been wrong about, I mean, myriad topics over the course of time. But when you go into a game and you feel so confident about particular aspects of a game.
Yeah, then Puka Nacua shows up.
Exactly. Stuff like that. But whether it was you feel that Aaron Jones is going to have an opportunity in this game. And he averages just over 3 a clip, I think, on 19 carries.
Eric, stop that.
You felt like this was an opportunity against a nicked-up offensive line that you were going to ruin one of the least mobile QBs in the league, that you were going to ruin their day.
Eric.
And you never got them down to the turf, save for the Byron Murphy interception. It was pretty easy living for Matthew Stafford. And that's where, post-loss, the team loses games every year. So we have Monday mornings and it's rainy days and Mondays throughout a season. But just to be so confident as I was in those two particular things and watch neither one of them play out at all on Thursday night kind of left me in a morose feast-related mood that Friday morning in Dinkytown.
So now it's Monday, and Darisaw is gone for the season. That's antithetical to super special. Quality left tackles, I'm sure, are quite easy to find with the NFL trade deadline 8 days away.
I always love that one.
No, we don't always love that one. 5-2. All right. Deep breath. 5-2 is a good quality mark approaching the midway point, and that has to be the baseline from which we work. Can I get a witness and/or a raucous round of applause from the crowd at Buffalo Wild Wings for that?
You'll get a hallelujah. Most definitely.
5-2 is a good quality mark approaching the midway point of the season, and that is the 9 to noon baseline. Now, clearly there are some details that are working on last nerves of those who love the covenant and those who love the squad, and we can handle those too. So let's begin here. The con. From fan line through the feast, what seems to be the commonplace complaint that would occupy that department? Because, this is predictable, and it's part of what makes fandom fundum, and fans impassioned. I saw far too much guys following stuff via social media in that machine, so I pretty much shut that down during the entire weekend. But what was the common thread?
Common thread's been the defense through the last 2 games, whether it was the 4 consecutive touchdown drives that you saw in the Lions game on Sunday, and that's part of where on a Monday today I feel like we're going to have a better chance to just reset and look at what Jonathan Taylor and Richardson and the Colts present on Sunday night. And we can move past this thing, hopefully, because we're not talking. It was within 5 days, PA.
Yeah.
It was within 5 days after a euphoric bye week in which the team's 5-0, and you're dream weaving your way into late January, and then you just get smacked in a haymaker heavyweight fight style against the Kitties. Those 4 consecutive touchdown drives in that game. Then you go 4 days later, you're at SoFi, and Matt Stafford again. He's not hitting the turf. The pass rush isn't getting there, and he tosses 4 touchdowns in the night. So the common theme, and we'll get into. I got a Vike bite for you around the corner about the quarterback. He's been discussed at large and often as well. And it's whether it's catching strays or the validity of really digging into this offense now through 7 games. The QB's been a big talker, but specifically on that defense. And now it's, Gilmore running with guys. That ends up being bad. Some flags, people getting handsy in the secondary, Shaq Griffin getting turned around at times, the lack of a pass rush, how much this turf toe thing with Blake Cashman is utterly just crippling this defense, specifically in the middle of the field. And now through 2 games in a row, we've seen an inability to stop the run, which was something if you're just hunting at statistics and you're not thinking about game flow and some other things, the attempts and the yardage through the first 5 statistically among the best in the NFL. Then you get Gibbs out of the gate and puts Cam Bynum in cement, and suddenly now through 2 games, you're seeing a rushing defense that has been incredibly vulnerable. So, at times, and I use this terminology after the Lions game, where in some ways when Ben Johnson was scoring at will, and then we saw some of that on Thursday night, there was a feeling of helplessness because we just didn't have any answers. And for good reason, because Brian Flores is such a fantastic coach, we demand that he has answers all the time, right? And when that isn't happening, when those massive advantages on offense combined with a turnover, a couple of sacks, and some limitations defensively early in games, when that's not happening and you're in a Thursday night gunfight that I didn't expect to be happening where it's 14-14 early second quarter, the defense has been a massive topic of discussion since Thursday night.
Fair. Indy here Sunday night. And I mentioned earlier, being racetrack raised, you have a quality beast, and that beast is 5-2. It's racing in stakes races, and it's gone against in the last couple of games the Detroit Lions, who might win a combo platter of the Kentucky Derby and the Breeders' Cup Classic. That squad's so good. And then you get some firepower with the Rams where they go full strength. It's not debatable, always were, with Kupp, Puka Nacua, and Kyron Williams with Matthew on national television. So now you get the Indianapolis Colts they had a wonderful opportunity yesterday. And when we get to pressure points coming up a little later in the radio show, courtesy of Sioux Cup Manufacturing, there was like part of a story and a recap of that Colts game, the Colts loss yesterday, that I had to read twice. Anthony Richardson pulled himself out of the game because he was tired. I mean, he had just run around a few times, like 3 times, and I'm sure it was quite the exhaustive endeavor, indefatigable as I always thought he was. But I've never heard of like Roger the Dodger, or Fran the Man on the Fan, or Mike Vick, or some of these running quarterbacks pulling themselves out of a game late in a game when you're trying to get in to score a touchdown to grab a share of a division lead, and my man pulled himself out of the game. So to do that, you enter pressure points.
Well, that was nutty. He was 10 of 32, PA. Like, I want to see, and the Colts, by the way.
No, we're not talking about Caleb Williams.
The Houston Texans and all the Super Bowl aspirations, like, they've played in a lot of ugly games this year. And I wouldn't say it's a regression for CJ per se. He was mostly fantastic yesterday, but injuries and other things, the Colts aren't blowing anybody out of the water.
No.
And so
every game they play in is some form of a freaking meat grinder.
Absolutely. And it's Care Fairbairn or whatever his name is.
It's super tightly contested. It's super meat grinder-ish. And that's what Sunday Night Football probably will be like now.
Well, absolutely. And but with a chance to win a game.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the 10 of 32, he's aware it hasn't been his best day.
Right.
To pull yourself out and just say, I got to tap out. I'm tired.
Unbelievable.
And, at whatever his age is now, 23, 24, and what's it going to be like at 34 for Anthony Richardson?
Damn.
I mean, if he can make it through the first half. Yeah, that was an incredible story among a few crazy stories from the weekend.
He said, quote, I was tired. I ain't going to lie. That was a lot of running right there. I didn't think I was going to be able to go the next play, so I just told Shane, just needed a break right there.
I always love that one.
I've never heard that from a quarterback. Ooh. I mean, after running, after walking, after throwing, after cajoling.
Now, do you on some level appreciate the honesty?
Oh, well, absolutely. Yeah, because, I mean, he if you see him say it like I saw, well, you can't be mad at him. He's got this baby face, and I was tired. I mean, athletic people get tired too. Running around out there, and I was exhausted. I told Shane I had to come out for a little bit. I mean, think about Indianapolis Colts fans when they see Anthony Richardson come out of the game after he played like 4 minutes last year. They're like, this thing's just working out wonderfully.
I always love that one.
Well, at least nobody wants the guy behind him, Joe Flacco, a former Super Bowl MVP.
I always love that one.
Pressure points, about 11:35. Indianapolis Colts here Sunday. It is a step down in class for the Minnesota Vikings off the Ben Johnson and Sean McVay productions, and may God be with us all. They, the fans, that there definitely are a few things that yours truly. Not really bullish on speaking for coaching staffs or teams or fan bases, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it here for the fan base because there are many things the fans want to see take place beginning Sunday night. And here are just a few. They want to witness a win to stop the bleeding. Hear me when I tell you this. Minnesota Vikings fans would like to witness a win to stop the metaphorical bleeding. 6-2 absolutely has to happen. 6-2 absolutely has to happen. And then maybe you're like, and what if it doesn't? Tough guy? Well, take a peek at the old NFC North, and the problem will continue to compound. Even from 5-3, which wouldn't be a terrible lot in life. I mean, ain't as nice as 7-1, but 6-2 should happen Sunday night. It's a big game coming up for your Minnesota Vikings off this mini bye. But like we mentioned earlier, be careful here, though. The Colts play in nothing but close games, and if some defensive woes continue, it'll be something called Alec Pierce running behind our guys, uncovered. The fans, the core covenant of the love covenant conversation. Our fans, they want to see Blake Cashman play. So whatever is happening with facets of the defense potentially stops. That has to be the answer, right? That has to be the answer, right? With all the passes that are dropping between the linebackers and the safeties and stuff like that we didn't see through the first 5 games of the year. Blake Cashman playing more on this whole thing potentially during pressure points coming up in the final hour. This because with the Cashman bit, there just has to be some trickle down not having Blake. Like Van Ginkel now does this. Metellus now does that.
Right.
And so on. I mean, one guy down and many attempting to fortify the village. The con, it's. I hope Cashman's toe's okay for Sunday night, though.
Yeah, that's actually going to be a pressure point that I've written down that we will discuss in more detail at 11:35. Thank you, Suka. But the aspect not only of the ripple effect of his injury, but now through 2 games, our lack of ability to supplement or change that. And Flores and that defensive staff, they know better than I do exactly how that domino affects the others in the mix. But it just doesn't look right. And thus far, whether it was early in the Lions game, you have Van Ginkel needing to play on the defensive front against the run, but then you had Dallas Turner in the mix as a linebacker. Just you know that he's throwing stuff against the wall. You know that he's experimenting. You know that he's on the sweat right now to find that right answer. And if it is Metellus and et cetera, you're moving these pieces around. But it just hasn't worked now through 2 games. So an absolute pressure point into Sunday is finding that right answer. And as far as the turf toe thing, is he going to play? Is he on the mend? How long does it take to recover from this? I mean, this injury, it's
KO made it sound like it was kind of 2 games a couple of weeks ago.
It sounds ridiculous because it's just a toe, but apparently this thing is brutal to the point where if you have a bad case of it, you can barely walk. So I don't know what the expectation is. We need him back.
Amputate the sucker.
Just cut it off and go.
We got to win a game.
Yeah.
Call Ronnie Lott and figure out what it's like to eliminate appendages, to eliminate toes and fingers and things like that.
6-2 means more than your big toe.
Oh, this is a big one coming up Sunday night on KFAN. Trickle down, though. Tell me if you think this is a fair part of the equation in closing with the last 2 games. It's FIFA. It's Fairness and Firepower Act. The Lions, certainly, with firepower, and the Rams with Kupp, Nakua, and Kyron, well, they offer some firepower. That factors into the equation. I mean, you could have won both games, certainly had a potentially better shot to win the first game, strangely, against the Lions with the way things went till you took that penalty late because the Alabama kid would have walked off from 67 or 68. But that is some high-end firepower that we just faced when those Rams go full strength, and good morning.
Good morning. I think it is absolutely a talker. But then what you kind of have to do is you have to compartmentalize. You cut the season in half effectively.
Yeah.
The second half at Lambeau to now.
Yep.
What have we seen?
Oh, yeah.
And in some ways, to really dig into the minutia, which you have to do now, the way that this team has been losing games, to the point where you're really struggling. Man, that face mask absolutely screwed us. But, oh, yeah, the penalties and some things that put us in the spot where we would have been, as you said, about a 10%er to get down the field in that spot and get the 2. It can overshadow some of the things that we've seen. Really, again, if you're gonna chop this line in half, from the second half at Lambeau to now, things are looking a little different. And the 5-2 record kind of, specifically it's emotional to us because we've felt both those L's in the span of 5 days. But it's something that needs to be addressed, and it needs to happen now.
How about that Thursday night when I'm sitting on the bus trying to be athletic and reach under a chair and get my pen and basically throwing my back out and I'm looking at social media. I'm texting with you, and like the Wolves are in the spine tingler of all spine tinglers. The demise of Julius Randle was greatly exaggerated.
Oh, so good.
Everybody's all happy and excited with that dub. Wild never losing. Everybody all wide-eyed over that dub. And I'm sitting on the bus mashing on my 19th Uncrustable. It was just a strange, surreal feeling that evening. So fans love to watch Blake, and they want to see Blake Cashman. Hopefully he can play this weekend. Fans also want TJ Hawkinson to join the fray any day now. I've kind of felt the last 3 weeks that it could happen anytime, yet nothing. The offense may need him to open up some other stuff. And who knows? Offense jumpstart off a mini bye. Do they consider Dalton Reisner on the offensive line? Does Quessenberry get left tackle? It's thick. We have a lot about which to chat this week on the 9 to noon presentation, courtesy of TimberTech and TimberTech.com. What's on deck includes Vikes Bites around the corner, followed by the necessary evil, followed by the analyst, followed by the star safety, followed by the coach, followed by the basketball player, followed by pressure points, and then followed by a KO preview for tomorrow. Nordo produces, and I'm Paul Allen. Good morning. Happy Monday to you. You're listening to 9 to noon. Your cash thing later.
The Fan, along with two men in a junk truck, want to give you a chance to put $1,000 in your hand with the National Cash Contest. Go to KFAN.com, enter the keyword $, and you might win 1,000 of them. The keyword is $, at KFAN.com.
The Fan.
Vikes Bites.
Oh, yeah.
Vikes Bites brought to you by Thousand Hills Lifetime Grazed Grass-Fed Beef. You can shop online, get a box of meat sent to your doorstep. You can go to your local Coburn's locations, local co-ops as well. They are proud sponsors of Gophers Athletics. Clearwater, Minnesota company, by the way, so support local. I want to start here. You mentioned in the open, Christian Darrisaw is done for the year, the head coach. A couple of audio clips from KO. Here he is.
Was holding out hope last night that maybe the imaging would reveal a less significant injury, but unfortunately that is not the case. He did sustain a significant knee injury to his left knee, and it will require season-ending surgery. He will go on injured reserve.
More from the head coach.
We'll determine the best course of action in regards to the procedure that will repair the injury, and I know CD will be right back, where he was this year, which is one of the best left tackles in football, playing at a really high level.
So life without Darrisaw moving forward, PA, is going to be an interesting one. Quesenberry steps in. We got the rookie, Walter Rouse. And I've seen a little bit of this, and I even heard Lieber with the power trip this morning, Blake Brandel. The swing action, the size, all of that, the potential of him maybe moving out there. You have Dalton Reisner in the mix now, hunting for an open guard spot, potentially.
Oh, geez.
And so,
hadn't thought of that Brandel side.
Well, that's but that is the if you're at TCO this morning,
yeah,
and ultimately we're going to get to see Kevin O'Connell tomorrow. We will be at TCO.
Mm-hmm.
I assume that those are the types of conversations that are happening, not necessarily Blake Brandel specifically, but they got to figure out what their lot in life is. You're not going to find probably a starting left tackle off the street.
Hey,
you're not going to trade for a starting caliber left tackle with a team at this spot. And so you're trading potentially for a depth piece that's probably almost necessary at this stage.
Or we coerce David Bakhtiari out of retirement and stick it to the Sultan.
There we go. Well, and those are the options too. Whether it's Bakhtiari, you can find Jason Peters is somewhere. Those sorts of things. Guys off the street. It's very tricky for Kevin O'Connell moving forward with this loss.
TJ Clemmings, no doubt. The Brandel, I don't know. If they use Brandel at left tackle, they do. Okay, cool. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of moves like that, where now all of a sudden you're kind of jacking with three things. You got a new left tackle, so now the guard's going to be the tackle, where Quesenberry is the tackle. He's the backup tackle.
Right.
So that's sliding into Nordo's DMs. That's just how it works. Quesenberry, Darrisaw, Quesenberry. So then Brandel goes to left tackle. Reisner goes to left guard. So now you got a new guy in a spot that's not new, but it's new because he hasn't played this year. And then a guard playing tackle when he's been playing pretty well at left guard this year. And then Ingram stays at right guard. I'm in camp Quesenberry. I'm in camp Quesenberry. Quesenberry left tackle. And then the rest will take care of itself.
Couple more for you. Vikes Bites! Red zone defense, PA. The first three games, the Vikings held the Giants, Niners, and Texans to 3 of 9 in the red zone. That's 33%. That's not bad. We like 3 of 9.
Yeah.
Well, from Lambeau to now, teams are 10 of 12 in the red zone. 10 of 12, which is 83%.
Mm-hmm.
If there is any one thing, we saw a couple of penalty-laden bits with the Vikings secondary on Thursday night, so that's kind of recency. But just in totality, anything that just pops in your head where we've seen a red zone defense that has really struggled. And maybe it is the step up in class, as you referenced with the Lions.
Well, that's part of it.
It is part of it, but anything pop in your head when you think about 10 of 12 over the last 4 games?
No. I will look at it since you have made that request. I did not recognize, or I was not aware that the old 10 of 12 trick had taken place since halftime of the Green Bay Packers game. But I'm not going to shortchange the firepower you faced in the last 2, and I do put the Rams in that equation. I mean, Matthew Stafford is a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Yep.
Or certainly potentially, but it's high on the potentially side.
And 2 superstar receivers with an unbelievable head coach.
And I'm not going to shortchange DeMarcus Robinson. I mean, it's not just something called DeMarcus Robinson. My man's had a long career. He's bounced around. He's played in the Super Bowl. He's been a tough customer all of his career. So now he becomes their third.
Yeah.
So therefore, and McVay, like you said, man, I mean, McVay, it's going to take him a couple of seconds to find the right matchups, but when he does, it's going to be very difficult.
How annoyed were the Charchians of the world as this game played out? Cooper got into the end zone, but you had Oliver, Sherfield, DeMarcus Robinson with a 2-piece.
I know.
I mean, people had to be losing their minds.
Yeah, I know that those were gotchas.
Yeah.
Okay, but there's more to that, too. I mean, there's so much to talk about during the course of this week. It's like, there are games where we're really good at the gotchas.
Yep.
And there are games where, the Oliver play is a gotcha play. Everybody's going that way, and here's our guy wide open. Sherfield Sr. didn't even know he was on the team, like 85% of the people said, and he's wide open. Gotcha, 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 gotcha. But when it gets grimy, what happens? You see, I can't get negative on, like, specifically offensively. When it gets grimy, what happens? Because we know what we've seen what happens from 2022.
Right.
That when it gets grimy, it's the grimy get grimy. And the grimy can get nasty, too.
How about that 3rd down conversion to Kupp? If you remember, they're going right to left.
When he ran out of bounds?
He got out of bounds later, too, but that 3rd down conversion where we absolutely needed to stop. And again, that helpless feeling that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, like me on the bus with Rube Nation celebrating and winning and living its best life without me, and I'm eating Uncrustables.
Or Lieber on a shuttle in London and he has to use the bathroom. Helpless. That's what you felt.
I was helpless.
And, we've talked about that game-winning touchdown drive where it was Stafford to Cooper Kupp, Stafford to Cooper Kupp, Stafford to Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
And Puka comes out of nowhere, out of the darkness. He goes 7 for a buck and change. But when it absolutely got grimy, helplessness was the feeling because we had no answer for their big timers. It was nutty.
First time I've seen young Puka Nacua in person. My man, well, he's quite the imposing presence. He just has aura. He has presence. I mean, he's kind of part of the Captain Cool Covenant, to be honest with you.
You feel that aura. I mean, he's got the hair, right?
Yeah, but he's not fast.
Chill.
He's not fast, but he's not slow, and he's big. And it's like when he gets open, he's this big, giant, tight end looking thing. Then he catches it. He's got a little wiggle to him. He's Puka Nacua.
My final Vikes Bite for you is this, and this will persist. I think this conversation might be throughout the week.
Oh, goody.
Scripted versus unscripted was a conversation that Charch broached on Friday with the offense in particular, and how explosive, how nearly perfect this team has been offensively in first quarters of games. I think that the margin something like 72-10 that the Vikings are outscoring their opponents this season post Rams game.
Yes.
And so I don't have those numbers that Charch talked about on Friday, but looking at splits of one Sam Darnold, where he's an 80% completion guy with 6 TDs and no picks in the first quarter. That's a $143 passer rating.
Yep.
It jumps to 56% completion in the second quarter, and then it goes back up. So at the beginning of games, he's an 80% completion guy. Out of the break in the third quarter, he's a 76% completion guy. But in the fourth quarter, he's 53% completions and a 77 passer rating. So the conversation, you mentioned it, you asked me what were fans all over. It was about the defense, certainly through those 2 games. But there is a lot of conversation around whatever their first 15, however they handle those opening portions of games. It is the elite of the elite in the NFL.
It really is.
But then something changes.
I mean, there are gotchas all over the place early in the game.
You want to talk about helplessness and opposing defense trying to figure that out.
Yeah, the first quarter's nickname is Sniff Sniff.
Yeah, it's
like that's like that, Sean.
But then there are 3 more quarters, PA, and this team's been so much better in third quarter, specifically with their first possession out of half, and so that's a positive thing.
Baseline 5-2.
But when we're talking about, high-end offense. We're talking about a 5-2 team that wants to be 6-2 and 7-2 and 8-2 and compete in January and those things.
And have Super Bowl aspirations like we said they did last Monday.
Correct. We cannot have a team that puts 14 on you in the first quarter and stammers their way to 2 field goals, including after that elite Justin Jefferson catch.
Yeah.
They end up kicking from the 5. I mean, you just can't have that if we are talking about a team with high aspirations. And I've been racking my brain. Is it as simple? Fair. Is it the coach? Is it the QB? Is it a mix? But that's really kind of a staggering look at the offense of how good it is early and how many problems that it faces later on in games.
Very fair part of the equation there, the con, because this little step down in class to the allowance ranks Sunday night. Stakes horses are supposed to win these. You don't have to win it by Secretary of Champ. You just got to win. Just get to the winner's circle. Get to 6-2. It is a step down in class.
I mean, somebody should be claiming the Colts for like $3,000 after this game, right?
Yeah, unless Anthony Richardson has a bowed tendon and has to miss plays during games. Who knows? The necessary evil known as the Sultan of Smug for the border battle. David Sinekin is around the corner. And you're listening to 9 to Noon at FM 100.3 KFAN.
Vikes Bites!
This will be a 24-yard field goal attempt. Pretty much straight on. Ball will be placed down between the hash marks. Wheeling down on one knee, arm extended. Here's the snap. Placement made. The kick is up. And it is good!
Yeah.
For the second week in a row, Brandon McManus delivers the dagger! And the Packers have defeated the Jaguars 30-27.
Border battle.
Hey there, Siny. What's going on?
Hey, good morning, Paul. How you doing, man?
No problem. Doing well. Apologies for being a couple of minutes late. And
all good.
Your squad is living dangerously, but winning. I mean, is that the baseline way to look at it?
Well, I mean, Jordan Love injured his groin in the first series, so he wasn't himself, throughout the first half. The offense was obviously hampered by that. But, yeah, I mean, they were able to manage a double-digit lead late and had to fight back from behind. So, yeah, there's an element to that. But, 6-2 with, maybe 2.5 games without your starting quarterback, they are finding a way to get it done. But, yeah, schedule is going to get a bit tougher now as we move along.
When the Liberty kid comes in, how do you feel?
Well, the first couple times, he knew he had a week to get ready. This one, without any reps, he's thrown in there in the third quarter. I don't know. I wasn't panicking, but I certainly wasn't feeling real good about the Packers' chances, knowing that you're playing a desperate team that knew their season was on the line and they were playing pretty solid football across the board. But tell you what, that kid stands up and delivers every time he's been asked to. I give him a lot of credit, and the dagger 51-yard pass to Jaden Reed was a play that wasn't even in the playbook. They threw it in there on the fly. He switched to it when he saw the look, and so he's doing all the little things. It's really remarkable, and I think a real testament to him, the coaching staff, the front office. I don't know where Green Bay would be without Malik Willis right now.
Better explain that to me, please. So the Jaden Reed gotcha. All right, the whole thing flows right. Willis stops, plants, looks left, Rube falls, but he still wasn't going to cover him, and he hits Reed left boundary. So you're telling me that they're playing so fast, they're drawing up plays in the sand for a backup quarterback to win a game.
That's how it was reported, that they had talked about a play like that during the week, decided not to put it in. And when they saw the look, meaning, Green Bay at this point is running the ball virtually on every play. Jacksonville knows they don't want to put the ball in Willis's hands. They're trying to just either get into overtime at this point or maybe spring a run. And when they saw the safety kind of cheating over to the left side, they knew that they could confuse them by looking like Jaden Reed. If you watch the play, he doesn't go out and run right away. Looks like he's in a block. Then he takes off, and there's no one following him to the left side of the field. So, yeah, they saw the look. They saw that safety cheating, expecting Green Bay to play conservatively, and they gave Willis a chance to pop the big play, and he did.
Covenant collapse. I mean, if that's how it happened, hey, I mean, that's fantastic. David Sinekin at TC Head Cheese via the tweet machine. And this is the Border Battle. He also writes about Packers football for zonecoverage.com. Jacobs went for 127. Willis, his yards per attempt on 5 passes was higher than 11, which is terrific. So the parts of the game that I watched yesterday before I flew back from Colorado, it seemed like some Jags receivers were getting lost a little bit in the secondary. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it wasn't a great day for the Packers pass defense after 2 really good weeks, the 2 previous games against Kyler Murray and C.J. Stroud. They did lose Evan Williams early to a hamstring, and he's a rookie, but he's been a real indispensable part of that back end, and I think they did miss him. But, yeah, until Kirk and Thomas left the game with injuries, they were kind of having their way. That was something played in the Packers' corner there, that they had a couple injuries there to those wideouts. There's some questions of the Packers secondary and moving forward, too. Last play of the game defensively, Jair Alexander lands weird. He's hopping off the field. He's getting an MRI on his knee today. So that's a position where Green Bay has literally no depth. We're going to cross our fingers and hope that that's not too bad. Williams being out with the hamstring, suddenly that secondary's banged up with those kiddies coming to town next Sunday, and no idea whether Love's going to play with the bye week coming up after. So, yeah, it was a little disappointing to see that. But on the other hand, they held Tank Bigsby in check. The run defense has gotten much better the last few weeks. Bigsby was averaging 6 yards a carry. He barely got 4 yesterday. So it wasn't a great day for the defense, but they got 2 key takeaways led by that rookie Edgerrin Cooper with the strip sack fumble and a really fantastic play where he ran downfield 40 yards to break up a potential big play to Christian Kirk. So it wasn't a great day for the defense, but all in all, I think they handled their business pretty well.
So,
Border Battle.
Just, it's a Monday with the right to change the opinion on a Wednesday and then see the injury reports and learn about the elevations on Saturday and change the opinion again. But these Lions, what are we thinking about these old Detroit Lions coming to Lambeau Field?
Yeah, Packers were 1-point favorites before yesterday. They're now 4.5-point underdogs because I don't think it's likely Jordan Love plays on Sunday. Groin injury with a bye week. I know it's a huge game, a huge division home game. You hate to be 0-2 at home in the division, but last year the road team won both games in this series. I don't think Green Bay is going to mortgage anything for this season for one game. So I think as banged up as Green Bay is, if it's Malik Willis out there, I don't think Green Bay has a real shot, to be honest with you. But Willis does give the defense some different looks. He can confuse you a little bit. But I don't know defensively if Green Bay can keep Detroit off the scoreboard. So I think we're up against it next week. If we can just get healthy in a couple of weeks, head to Chicago to start the back half and see how things go. But no, I don't love Green Bay's chances as we sit here on Monday.
I appreciate you, man, and I'll call you next week, all right?
Yes, sir. Have a good week, bud.
David Sinekin, the Border Battle. He's the head cheese at TC Head Cheese, and not giving the squad much of a chance at home against maybe the best team in the NFL or one of the 2 best teams in the NFL, the Detroit Lions. But what David is failing to recognize that perhaps where there's a Willis, there's a way.